Hello, and this video is a bit unexpected. So in the last episode of Battlefield 1 News, I went through what is coming in early 2017, and there were a couple of custom game modes in that. However, what we have here is a new custom game mode which wasn't on their roadmap. So I have no idea how comprehensive that roadmap they released is or how accurate it is, but this is a new custom game mode that's been released. It's called Back to Basics, and it is DICE's version of a standard infantry weapon server. It's running on the Conquest game mode. I think there are 5 different maps you can play, and the only primary weapon that any of the classes can use is the standard infantry rifle for the army you're playing. So in this server, which is the British versus the Germans, you've got the Gewehr 98 and the SMLE. And even though those weapons would be available to the scout class with scopes on, in this mode the scouts are using iron sights as well. The other major change for this game mode is there's no tank spawns. You do get the infantry vehicles, so the Rolls Royces and the Jeeps and the motorbikes, and I think you get horses as well, but there are no armoured vehicles. And the final minor change, which is a bit of an odd one, the scouts cannot use K-bullets. I don't know why the scouts can't use K-bullets, because the assault still gets the anti-tank rocket gun, but yeah, for some reason the scouts can't use K-bullets in this mode. The biggest question with any of these custom game modes is, does it make sense and is it fun to play? And I have to say that this is actually a fun game mode to play. A lot of the custom game modes that DICE have been releasing really haven't been that good. I think the only real great ones we've had are this one, Back to Basics, and Fog of War. And Fog of War was just because it was so different, and it was a pistol mode with lots of fog, so that was a different playing experience. And this one really is the kind of World War I experience. Everybody's using a bolt action rifle. Now you would think if everybody's using bolt action rifles, then it's going to be balanced. But it isn't, and the reason for that is pretty obvious when you look at the stats of the infantry rifles. So the SMLE has a sweet spot range of between 40 and 80 metres. The Gewehr 98 has a sweet spot range between 80 and 120 metres. So if you've got to get onto a flag and get into closer range combat, the SMLE is better than the Gewehr 98. The SMLE also has 10 rounds, whereas the Gewehr 98 has 5 rounds. So when you've got to push onto objectives and get into firefights, well, very slow firefights because it's infantry rifles, the SMLE has a big advantage over the Gewehr 98. Of course, when you do get into really close ranges, you're going to pull your pistol and start using that. But those medium range engagements, the SMLE has the advantage, and that seems to play out when you actually play the mode as well. The British seem to have the advantage over the Germans. I wouldn't say it's a game-breaking advantage, but it is there. And this is finally a custom game mode where the assault class doesn't have the major advantage. Sure, it's got some fun toys, but because there's no tanks, we've only got the light vehicles, and because everybody's using the same weapon, all the classes have their own benefits. Because more of the engagements are at longer ranges, the medics are actually out there doing a lot of revives. I got killed about 12 times in this game, I think, but I only actually registered 3 deaths because I was just getting revived all the time. These infantry rifles don't have an awful lot of ammo, so the supports really do need to start dropping those ammo bags and providing ammo. The assaults still get to make the light vehicles go bang. Maybe the scout is the only class that really doesn't have an advantage. Because everybody's using a long range gun, the scout is just kind of the spotting flare class. So I think they should probably be reworked a bit to have the K-bullets back, because light armoured vehicles are what K-bullets are good at actually damaging, and that's all there is on these maps now. So Back to Basics isn't perfect, but it is much better than the private rental server versions of this mode that people have tried to make. And I think it would only take a few tweaks to actually have this as being a proper mode in Battlefield 1. Rather than just being a custom game mode, you could put this in there as a full game mode. I think removing the AT rocket gun would be a good idea because it just becomes an anti-infantry weapon when there's no tanks around. Then add the K bullets to the scout class so that there is some long-range vehicle harassment. And I'd quite like to see the pistols restricted to the nationalities as well. If you're going to restrict the rifles to the nations that could use them, then it makes sense to do the same for the pistols. Then you've got the full World War I nations experience. But other than that, there's not really much to change in this mode, and I think you could push this mode even further. Putting it into operations would be interesting, and adding in the Verdun maps from They Shall Not Pass would be great, because there we seem to have some real battlefield trench warfare, and that would seem to be the perfect setting for a mode that restricts players to the national rifles and probably the national pistols as well. So that's the new custom game mode Back to Basics. It's well implemented and it's a lot of fun, so I can recommend going off and playing it. Thanks for watching.